Greetings, gamers. I have a very interesting and slightly autistic video for you today. And that video is basically what is the most efficient way to grind any piece of Third Age as an Ironman? And we're going to be going in depth in this question, not only about the two different options you have, but also all the little underlying math that goes behind it. So, for example, what is going to be the cost? What is going to be a reward? How long it's going to take? And we're going to go over that really quickly. I think it's really interesting. I finished a calcs maybe 30 minutes ago and was talking to some friends about it, and honestly, really cool. So let's just jump straight into it. I would like to start off by wearing a piece of Third Age, but unfortunately I do not have any on my iron, which is quite unfortunate, but one day maybe that will be the case. Or actually, if you think about the macro Ironman perspective, eventually you're going to want to be grinding for Third Age pieces once you finish all the other collection log slots, which I say eventually. Hopefully I'm not playing the game in that time, but hey, you never know. So let's get started. So the first method is actually green dragons. It's not necessarily the most efficient method, but it's definitely a good option to consider if you're low on runes, and you'll see why because of the other option. But essentially, the average time to get a clue with this method is around 11 minutes, and that's to get the drop rate to get the clue, which is 60 green dragons with the hard combat diaries done. And also, the time can complete a clue is 6 minutes, and so that puts each clue at 17 minutes, which is an average of 3.53 clues per hour in the hard category. Now, the second method, as you may have guessed, is jellies. The average time to get a clue with jellies is 7 minutes, and that was with my efficiency methods, which is definitely not the way to go. You can definitely get faster than that, which puts each clue at around 13 minutes, which is 4.62 hard clues per hour. Now remember, I'm not going into the way to solve the hard clues. I think there's a lot of better resources online, like for example the Sebe Clue Bible, which covers this in way greater detail than I ever will be able to. So make sure to refer to that if you want to know more about solving the clues. But yeah, those are the two methods. So now let's go over some general calculations with some nice background playing. So before we go into the Third Age calculations, the first thing I want to mention for jelly specifically, as I said earlier where there is an issue with GP. So on average, each jelly stack contains 9 jellies, and you have to cast around 13 ice barrages to kill the stack. Now that's just a small estimation I did. With the Kodai buff, it's actually more like 11, because the Kodai has a 15% chance to not use runes. And each ice barrage costs you 4 death runes and 2 blood runes. So on average, if you have to kill 60 jellies per clue, that means you need to cast on average 86 ice barrages, which is 73 charges, which comes up to almost 300 death runes and 150 blood runes. Now for some more interesting math. In terms of getting a hard clue scroll to get a Third Age, the chances are as follows. So each hard casket has 4 to 6 rolls, and a Third Age rate is 16,250, which means if you average 5 rolls per casket, that's 3,250 clues needed to get a Third Age piece. Now you need to remember that when you open a hard casket, you have a chance of receiving a master casket at 1 in 15. Now that 1 in 15 also has a chance of rolling a Third Age. If you do the same math, it comes up with 2,269. However, that master casket also has a chance to roll a mimic, and the mimic has a flat rate of an additional buff of 1 in 228 to get a Third Age piece. Now if you sum it up all together here, you can see what I did is I made a go seek function where the yellow square, the hard casket opened, can fluctuate, and it calculates the masters received, the mimic received, and then it sums up the Third Age chances on each one. And you basically solve for the total to equal 1, which means you hit the drop rate for a Third Age piece. And that solves to 2,805 hard caskets. Now, I could do the same thing, the same assumption for jellies. However, it's not really the case because jellies drop totems, which gives a chance for hard clues and elite clues. And this is where the math gets a little funky, so let's see if you can bear with me. Oh boy, how do I even begin this part? So the calculation is the exact same as what I showed before. However, the twist is that you get totems. And the chance to get a totem is actually 1,080 jellies per totem because you have to get 3 pieces, which are each rolled independently. Which means on average, each hard clue you do will give you 0.0555 totems. And each totem gives you, as you know, 1 hard and 1 in 4 chance to get an elite clue scroll with the elite CAs done. Now, if we factor this up at the totem row below the hard casket open with the yellow square, you can see the number of totems you get, which is equivalent to number of hards, which is equivalent to number of elites, because there's a 1 in 4 chance to get an elite from each totem. Now, each of these hard clues and elite clues have a chance to roll a master at a rate of 1 in 15 from the hards and 1 in 5 from the elites. And each of the elites and each of the masters have a chance to roll a mimic. Now, one thing to note, the mimic chance for third age differs based on if it's an elite clue or a master clue, and that's factored in next to it where you see on the side. So the additional hards from the totems gives you a 0.04 chance and so on, and if you do the same go seek function, you get 2600 hard caskets to open. So the totems in reality saves you 200 hard caskets you don't have to open from the 144 totems that you get, which is quite interesting to think about. That means there's like essentially the totems give you a higher rate of third age than the hard clue itself, which you would imagine would be the case because of the elites that you get passively. Now, if you've been following me for this entire time so far, well, you're in for a treat because this is where the numbers are actually kind of cool. So in terms of the jellies calculation, in total you have to kill 156,000 jellies to be able to get drop rate for a third age piece. And I just want to put this into perspective for how rare third age pieces are, and for all you irons with like very low hard clue kill count to have a third age piece, yeah, just remember you're lucky. So interesting math, it'll take you around 563 hours with the jellies method, and you get a total of 144 totems, which is really good. It gives you around 70% of the drop rate for the Jar of Darkness, which is nice. Now, some interesting rewards you would get is you would get 2,400 Mithril boots, which I collect, by the way, because I don't know why, I just kind of collect them. You'd get around the same amount of rune kite shields. You get 1,200 rune full helms. You get 54,000 death runes, 274,000 Calcs runes. You get 34 crystal keys with Lightbearer. Now, if you bring a Ring of Wealth, you would actually double. You'd get around 76 crystal keys. You get 8.4 mil cash just from the GP that the jellies drop. And you'd also get 39,000 lobsters if you decide to bank those for what, I don't know why you would want to bank those, but if you wanted to, you get 39,000 of them. However, the losses is quite brutal. You need to spend 766,000 death runes and 383,000 blood runes. And that's with a quota. So if you don't have a quota, you have to add 15% to that, by the way, which is an insane amount of runes, but the time save is really quite massive. But now let's look at the Green Dragon side. So let's talk about the Green Dragon summary. So for Green Dragons, you'd have to get 2,800 hard clues, which would be equivalent to killing 168,000 Green Dragons. And that would take you just under 800 hours. So we are talking about a 240 hour longer duration. But as a reward, you would get 168,000 Dragon Bones, which are noted, which is 84 million prayer XP if you use it at the Chaos Altar in the Wildy. And you'd also get the same amount of D-Hides, which I don't think you'd be able to pick them all up, but assuming you do, you'd get 10 million crafting XP, making bodies, and you'd be able to alch it for 262 million GP, which is just insane. You'd also get 1,300 rune daggers, which you can bank, and you'd also get 100 crystal keys, given that you're wearing the Wing of Wealth for this method. And you'd also get 4,800 insold dragon heads, and 100,000 nature runes if you decided to pick them up, which is just absurd numbers right there. Now you might ask yourself, Lone, what do I do with this information? Well, honestly, I don't know. I just kind of did the calculations because I was curious, given that in a very long-term future, all irons would end up doing this method to grind third age pieces for the collection log completion. And I just felt like calculating it just to get an idea for how long it would take and what you would get out of it. Now, in terms of my own opinion, I probably will not be ever doing that unless I get really, really burnt from PVMing, like really burnt. And chances are I would probably do the Green Dragon method just because it's more chill and I don't have to worry about the runes. And also the prayer XP would be kind of funny to go for ranks in prayer just by doing collection log stuff. Because I do like to use my post 99 XP for the memes essentially. Now, with these random facts, you can go ahead and tell your friends in your CC or on voice and Discord, like, hey, did you know that if you decide to do jellies till you get a piece of third age, on average you'll get 2,437 mithril boots, and I can guarantee you, you will be unfriended. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. And if you do enjoy this type of video, make sure you let me know, and I'm gladly gonna make more, because it is quite interesting to make these. So peace out.